However, we don't really want the night of monsters, you see. I haven't liked the noisiness of the monster world since I was really little. Ripping each other up and growling over nothing, and because I didn't understand why that was treated as obvious and essential at all. Compared to that, this is an incredibly idle and quiet place. And although it appears that there are humans who live chaotically, they can at the very least choose their lifestyle, right? Above all, we like that you humans are a species that know how to enjoy idle time. Manhwa, games, novels, movies, because they're all useless things that you can't find anywhere in the monster world. But we like those useless things more than we enjoy consuming humans. If a world where humans can't make those things come to fruition, then we truly believe that'll be a tragedy. He keeps on saying, we, since before, does that mean there are other monsters that think the same? Soul me. I understand what you're saying. But for that, there's really no need to root for me though. You could just be the Yoma King and, it's a bother. And the Korean peninsula does appear to have the highest possibility of winning, but beyond being or not being the Yoma King, there's an annoying problem. Including myself, the leading candidates participating in the festival are all from families with rich histories. But there's a large presence of the optimized usage methods for the unique monster arts that have been handed down from our forefathers. Even if they're unique monster arts of similar force, there's no choice but for the side that has inherited the usage manual edited over thousands of years to be stronger. Like, you know how humans say that they were born with a golden spoon, right? It's the same vibe. So you're saying, that a family is a golden spoon, like a Chable household that's been passed down from generation to generation, right? Is there something like, family pressure? Pressure, what a refined expression. You can basically see it as being pressed down to the point of death. The second an offspring that has even just the littlest of talent is born, the entire family hangs onto them and makes noises, saying that they must become the next Yoma King. There's no personal will there. The second you become the family's rep, the pledge to realize the interests and will of the family is forced upon you. If you don't, then they'd drag me down or kill me, just to put forth a new rep. He's definitely, not even a human like me, but having your entire family turn their backs and be your enemy is quite a cruel thing. But you're different. A talent that you've inherited from an essential bloodline. Despite that, you aren't tied down by a family or clan, and you even have a clear will and motive to become the Yoma King. You can do it. No, you have to do it. Wait, hold on. I understand what you say, but let me just think for a second. It's all been just so sudden since earlier. Well, from your perspective, it's definitely. Unique monster art wind plumage. Soul me, hold on. It's fine. It won't even leave a scratch with just this much. Looking at it, it seems that he's already dipped somewhere far away because he's aware that he's going to get cursed at. He dipped. What the heck was that person even? Saiwu, the guy you just met isn't that Appa's original self. To put it simply, it's like a split personality. Black Tortoise. According to the legends, an existence born from a snake and a turtle pair off and become one. However, if you look back to their roots, it is said that their origins just come from an ordinary turtle. However, in a distant past, it is said that a certain genius realized the reason for the yin and yang. That person separated the yin and yang from their monster force, and separated only the extremely docile yin monster force. And as a result, broke beyond the limits of their birth and awakened as a divine beast. That was how the first black tortoise came to be. After that, the black tortoise's descendants were born, carrying the innate abilities to an extent, but it said, to become a complete black tortoise, they must go through excruciatingly painful training in order to acquire that. And the family's side effect that forms from that is the snake. It's the personality that you saw. Well, he didn't seem that bad, though he didn't appear that way at the start. As a result, he did though. Yeah, he doesn't have malice. The problem is that he doesn't have thoughtfulness or anything either. He's impulsive and moves as he pleases, and he even has a strange mischievousness, so it hasn't been just once or twice that he's put people in a sticky situation. A personality naturally created when the monster force's yang energy is concentrated. I don't know if it's because of that, but his innate personality is extremely calm and cold. It's completely submissive to the main turtle personality, but it's supposed to be the side that provides strategy and analysis, as far as I know. For some reason, Goyu Appa's snake is said to be totally messed up from the start. Personality's one thing, but for some reason, it even has the ability to take over the body as it pleases, and it seems that it has frequently come out and caused trouble since long ago. And it's because of that reason that even when he was chosen as his family's rep, there were quite a few dissenters. Calling him a halfling black tortoise or whatever, he's just so talented that I think they were pacified somehow, but... Anyway, are you all packed? We really have to go back quickly now. Yeah. Don't worry so much. It isn't any of your fault, so even if they say something for being late, there won't be any negative impact your way. That isn't what worries me. The broken veranda, we've already been gone for a month, so I think my mother's going to be really worried when she sees that. Well, you won't have to worry about that. Things will be restored to the way they were tomorrow, as there are people who are in charge, prepared to handle things like these. Solmi, you go on ahead first. I have something to say to Choi Saiwoo separately. Saiwoo didn't do anything wrong. This all happened because of my incorrect judgment, and, yes, I already know that. However, you don't need to be here, as there's something the three of us need to talk about. 3. I'm aware that such a sudden visit is rude, but there's one more hand that you have to shake. So this is the sort of place that humans live in. Well, it isn't too bad. It's a bit cramped, but it's neat in its own way. Did you come out here for a bit because you gained permission to go out? No. I didn't get any sort of charity, nor did I get a 12-hour visit every 6 months. I have no intention of coming out to the human world where I have to be conscious of other people's eyes. I was just dragged out here abruptly. I'll explain if you just follow me first, is what he said, so I followed him. But what about you begin talking now, HM? Yes, to talk. First, I'll have to share what happened tonight. Right after dark, about 50 shutterwalks appeared, centering around Siachogu, Seoul. They were all under someone's control and attacked humans on the streets. After handling it, it appeared their method was incredibly crude and they had no signs of covering what they did up, so I thought it was a trick to lure Solmi out and aim for Choi Saiwoo, but... Are you saying that wasn't their original purpose? I'm not saying that it wasn't. But their goal probably wasn't just one destination. Tonight, at least 200 people have disappeared across Seoul and the Seoul metropolitan area. That number is only based on the reports filed at the human beings police stations, so the number of those who have actually disappeared will be over 500 at the least. I can't believe it. If it's to that extent, then it isn't just one or two. That means there has to be a group of at least 5 people who move together then. If we set our hearts to it and close in on the list of suspects, then we can. You're right. If the person who committed this is a monster from the Korean peninsula, then we can find them without much trouble. All suggest an undesirable fact. However, from the traces left at a few of the scenes I visited tonight. Although it's impossible to count the regions other than the Korean peninsula, a number of monsters have come over here. Because they'll be caught red-handed for what they did in the regions where they're from, they most likely started to hunt down humans in the Korean peninsula, where it's hard to track them. If we don't track and punish them as soon as possible, the hunting of humans will continue in the 6 months even before the festival begins. Surely. A monster that has the will and ability to protect the human world, in this current moment where we need every hand on deck possible, I want to give you two an offer. The qualification exam that was set to be held in a month. If you two accept, then that exam. I'll proceed with it in a different manner immediately. To find and take out those who invaded the Korean peninsula as quickly as possible, that right there is the task I give the two of you. No matter how much I think about it, I shouldn't have sent Saiwoo off like that. What the hell was I accepting like a wuss? Didn't sleep a wink. If that rascal isn't able to come back, then that's entirely my responsibility. Let's take some proactive measures now and, your phone was turned off. Well, still, I knew you'd be on your way to school. Do you have a minute? Quite a lot has changed after what I told you yesterday, so. Cafe Eden what? Choi Saiwoo, you're really insane, aren't you? Yushin, a little quietly, it's a nuisance if you talk loudly in a public place. And I'm not insane either. Oh, I apologize. Still, it's quite a good condition, isn't it? In any case, that means I'll be here rather than in the monster world. I won't have to make you or mom worry about me either. You've never heard what class monster you are exactly, right? Well, would I even know so far as to my class? When, from the start, it's just yesterday that I found out I was a monster. Shinryung Kigosu. What kind of monster name is that? It's my first time hearing it, but just hearing it brings chills down my spine. Mysterious. It isn't just one word. Each of the 5 words symbolizes a monster's status. The lowest tier is Su. Su is from the Hanja for beast, and its meaning isn't much different from the Hanja. The majority of monsters fall into this class. Although dangerous, they're petty beings whose levels aren't that different from wild beasts. Their powers are also limited to just that. They just have the weapons and the numbers, then it's possible for normal humans to go up against them, even if they haven't learned magic like I did. There were even quite a few precedents left in the old records. If it's with today's guns, it's possible to attack them with little to no problem. But it's beginning with the classes above that where it becomes a level where normal humans can't attack them. Go. Monsters that have the strength of at least 100 humans. Even if you have 100 people, that's just in terms of pure physical ability, so even if 1,000 people go rushing at it, they'll all just die. If those are the 2 lowest classes, then to what extent are the top 3? A calamity. I can't give you a definite answer because I've yet to experience one myself, but the risk that key class monsters possess is about 10 times that of Go. Under the condition that there aren't any restrictions, in just one night, they could turn a small city into a living hell. In the case of Shin and Ryung, just know that you shouldn't run into monsters like that. You probably won't run into them either. Because beings that powerful don't really bother breaking the law. If they're really monsters that have invaded from outside Korea, then they'd be prepared to fight at least once against the monsters here, or against shamans like myself. I don't know exactly how many of them there are, but it'd be okay even if they are key class. Then, Yushin, in your opinion, the monster that took the snake form, what class do you think? It's a little kid. Although not a Su class, it definitely doesn't touch the key class at all. At most, it can be seen as a mid-tier Go. If it was able to handle even just half that power, then neither you nor I might even be here right now. There was a reason why it used it as bait to draw our attention. And if I didn't misread the situation, then you would have almost gotten consumed by that lousy bastard. Saiwoo, your current status as a monster is below him. In short, you're at most in the middle to lower tier of Go. Whether you're a goblin or a braggart, that's the reality. So don't try to meddle needlessly in things you can't even handle. I'm saying, just be objective about your position, you moron. Even though my words weren't not harsh, I should nail this coffin down firmly so he doesn't have any other thoughts. But, what? I can't hear you, so speak up. But if I go up against him again, I seriously, for sure, feel like I can beat him though. Like you said, if you weren't there, then I really would have died without uttering a peep. But things have changed from then to now. I've gotten a sense of how monster force works to an extent, and should I say that I've also gotten a feeling of how to fight as well. This punk, his way of thinking is completely screwed up. You're gonna go to school. Is it already time? No. I have no thoughts of going to school today. It doesn't seem like you'll be getting your act together, so I'll have to get it together for you somehow. Follow me. Olympic Gymnastic Arena, a sports facility that was completed in 1986. Built to hold the 1988 Seoul Olympics, and currently known as a large-scale concert hall, KSPO Dome, but unknown to the public, there exists another use for it. Wow. I didn't know such a place existed in the basement. I saw a lot of places like this on the way here. Are they all your families? Olympic Gymnastic Arena, Special Underground Zone Public Benefit Training Center. No way, it's a facility created by the government. It's not like there aren't any shamans or masters besides my family. By the government? Then, do they know about monsters and the festival, too? Far off, from ancient times, the state powers have always kept strong shamans by their side. No. Perhaps it was strong shamans who were first to create the concept of a state to begin with. Because the power to fight monsters itself would have been even more powerful than anything else by the standards of the distant past. Years ago, since the early days of the Joseon dynasty, there hasn't been a threat of monsters. Even the Joseon royal family established the Constellation Hall, an institution to train strong shamans. And it's my family that has continued that line of duty. Whether it's monsters or festivals, or other surreal forms. There is some recognition at a national level. Even so, it's a secret that only a few at the top even know, and it doesn't really seem like even they take the situation that seriously though. Well, anyway. If you're ready, then feel free to come at me. I told you already. There isn't anything like a time limit or rules. If you can overpower me using whatever moves you can, then I won't worry about whatever you do with the other monsters. You aren't going to use a sword or a dagger-like weapon like you did yesterday? Of course. It's because I'm not using it that this fight is established. Although there is a difference between each individual's preferences, generally, the amount of skills that strong shamans can exhibit without their weapon is less than half. It's to a level where you shouldn't separate yourself from your weapon, no matter what happens. But if it's me, I can go up against a Go-class monster without any difficulty, with just my body. In other words, if you can overpower me, then that's proof that you're a monster who's beyond that class, isn't it? What are you doing? I told you to come at me, didn't I? Yushin not asking, "Are you okay?" means there's no meaning behind that question, because he noticed the second he struck. He has already seen Saiwa's recovery rate once before. You're incredible, Yushin. And because he had the purpose of, I must save my friend so he gets his act together, he never put much stock into his golden touch. You're like, a protagonist of a manhwa. And because the actual damage was near zero. Rather. I wonder if I'm on the losing end instead. It feels like I've struck my fist against a brick wall. If I had wrapped my hands in less energy, the bones would have all been smashed. Saiwu, who has realized that his friend won't be hurt even if he doesn't control his strength, and his friend, Yushin, who has realized he's a much more dangerous monster than he thought. In an atmosphere and mindset that have completely changed. Saiwu was the first to move. He's a lot faster than before, but his attack manner hasn't changed at all. Periodic restriction as the energy of all creation has reached me now. Lateral descent. I earnestly ask that you come down and become one. Choi Saiwu, you're so, the thing you're holding, is it what I think it is? You're probably right. This is the first time I've drawn it out with my will though. Let's briefly touch upon a fact that may not be evident. Saiwu's overall condition is approaching poor. If we were to consider only his physical stamina, it would seem relatively good. However, the issue lies in his spiritual energy. In the battle of last night, Saiwu consumed approximately 93% of his total spiritual energy capacity. Originally, this amount would take more than a day of rest to fully recharge. Moreover, in the sparse environment of the mortal realm, recovery may be even slower. The current state, nearing exhaustion of spiritual energy, has been quite helpful in replicating the moment when Saiwu drew his goblin club. While he lacked control over his body, his consciousness and senses were sharp, allowing him to vividly recall that moment. It's a bit disappointing. I've read about goblin clubs in old documents. Whether those documents exaggerated the weapon or there's an issue on your end, I don't know. But from what I can see, and what I can feel, it doesn't seem all that impressive. I don't think the documents are incorrect. In my opinion as well, I certainly don't seem any more remarkable than last time. He's bulkier than I had imagined, but if I'm in an enhanced state, it's not something I can't defend against. A strike after a great leap. The cost in terms of stamina and energy will be far from trivial. There's no need for me to close the distance intentionally. I can just maintain the defense and wait for his exhaustion. This could actually work. What on earth are you doing right now? Well, it seems like it would be difficult to win up close. I have a feeling I can't keep blocking that giant fist-like thing indefinitely. If there's one thing that Saiwu knows for sure, it's that he can't replicate the same power as last time. The size and strength of the club, nothing, not even half of what it used to be. But there's one thing, the ability to freely change its form, that he could manipulate to some extent. And he had enough cunning to make use of it. Here I go. There's no noticeable difference in the aura compared to earlier. It's just that the change in form and how you swing it, the power has almost multiplied exponentially. Well, I'm not exactly squeaky clean either, but you were the one who suggested we fight first, right? This is a test to see if I can handle fighting against yokai or not. In a fight like this, it's better to be more cunning, don't you think? Fighting honestly would be meaningless in a life-or-death battle. His argument makes so much sense that he can't argue with it. Well, if you think about it, even though the situation and perspective are a bit unusual. In the end, we're just two teenagers who are very close friends. I was wrong, Saiwu, sometimes, admitting that can be a way to go. It's not necessarily wrong. It's just that my abilities were lacking, so what could I do? Yeah, is that how it's going to be, Choi Saiwu? I've reached my limit with your nonsense. Geez, you're terrifying. I'm the one who should be increasing my speed, but it's getting harder and harder to avoid his attacks. I'm adapting to his martial arts and speed, and it's happening quite rapidly. Misdirection. Yushin, are you okay? I'm changing my tactics to minimize the power of your attacks, even though they're probably much weaker than before, but perhaps back then, I was already injured. Righteous comfort prime longevity the true Lord who permits the radiant sun and banners. Urgency as the law commands and as equals demand. Leaf arrow an arrow fashioned in the shape of willow leaves used during the Joseon dynasty willow leaf arrow arrows crafted to resemble willow leaves, piercing like thorns. The regal monarch of the moonbeam that alters the hue of scarlet heaven currently, for Yushin, there is no ritual implement equipped that aids the ability of a specific martial art. As a result, the disadvantages arising from this include the inability to utilize the majority of acquired techniques. Even if the techniques are usable, it's very difficult to control its power. Urgency as the law commands and as equals demand. By adding his own energy, it creates weapons using divine power. One of the 18 or 24 martial arts forms, a type of swordsmanship performed with a katana art of the homeland, heavenly sword. Even if it's hastily made, the power to defeat yokai is truly overwhelming. A moment right before the end. The reason Yushin hesitated for a moment is that the opponent in front of him is his friend. But the reason he made up his mind is also because the opponent in front of him is his friend. Why did you suddenly spare me at the end? Even if you had finished me off, I could have recovered quickly. It wasn't like that. I used the full power of my exorcism arts. If the opponent is a yokai, they wouldn't have held up even at chi grade, no matter how strong they were. Just like your goblin club was shattered. It's just that the technique itself recognizes beings other than you as, not yokai. Speak or something. It's incredibly annoying for you to be all anxious right next to me. No, well, your nose, I was wondering if it hurts a lot. If it ends up scarring, then, that won't happen. It isn't as great as a monster's, but it's a body that I've worked hard to cultivate too. Something like fractured bones and torn skin will get better in a day. Besides that, You decreased your force right before you hit me, didn't you? The second you realized my attack didn't work, you most likely took out as much power as you could. Because if you didn't, then at the very least, all the bones in my nose would have been shattered. Yeah, you're quite decent, Choi Saiwoo. If you're gonna go around catching monsters or whatever, do as you please. Thanks for understand. I still don't understand though. I'm only like this because I made a promise. Here, take this. These look like some gourds, don't they? They are like some gourds, they are gourds. Consumable, just think of them as a bomb-like gourd that can be used once. To use it, hold it in your hand and recite, urgently like a mandate. Or if you're really in a rush, then just smash it on the ground. With your force, I think just holding it in your hands and giving it a little power will work too. Then the magic inside the gourd will activate. Just use it once whenever you're in danger. And be careful not to shatter them at the same time even if you do use several of them. I'm grateful, but, is it really alright to accept 3 of these? Your energy is stored in them, aren't they? And an incredible amount at that. I don't think they're things you can make easily though. How the hell did you know? Have you seen something like this before? No. It's not like that. But even just holding them in hands, I can feel it. The energy that I felt when fighting you earlier. A lot of that same energy, and a lot at that, is stored inside these gourds. Saiwoo's speculation was correct. 3-colored stream, the accumulation-type Dharma tool, mainly used by Yushin's family. Inside the gourd that's been treated with a special glaze, one's energy is poured in and stored whenever they have the time. So, whenever and whatever the situation may be, one can use their power to use magic that would have been difficult to use otherwise, and even if it isn't them, anyone who possesses the gourd can consume the Dharma tools to use magic. The purpose of the glaze applied to the gourd's surface is to seal in one's energy. But to penetrate through that and, even figure out the amount of energy inside? Show me your hand for a second. My hand, why? Is something there? Although it's said you can tell one's fate and disposition by just looking at the length of their palm and its placement, it's completely groundless for the most part. Well. However, if there's one thing that can be ascertained. This isn't just being a bit compatible, this is just talent itself. It's the skill of a spiritual person, masters, or gurus who are like shamans. Although I'm not 100% sure of his palm, being able to sense the 3-colored stream's energy is one thing, but if I also think about how he looked while fighting, I'm almost certain. What is it? If he wasn't a monster, then I would have told father immediately. No, it would have been possible with my own discretion, without needing anyone else's permission. His talent is to the extent that even if he was accepted as an external disciple, no one would have had a problem with it. Even now, is it not too late? Although we can't hide that he's a monster, he's undoubtedly half human and his own will is, no. There's no way those stubborn fools would permit it. Beyond simply failing to get permission, there's a high possibility that they may take it the wrong way. A goblin that has the talent of a shaman, truthfully, if it wasn't Saiwoo, then even I wouldn't have looked at them in a favorable light. Just a little, if only I had found out just 3 days earlier. I was just thinking that your life's pretty tangled up too. You can really tell something like that from my palm? Maybe or maybe not, anyway, so when are you thinking of attending school again? Well, I should probably first start with getting fitted into a new uniform, right? As it stands, I basically don't have anything to wear besides this tracksuit. Did you know that it even feels like my feet have gone down half a size too? That's quite a bit fascinating. But it'll be worth seeing everyone's reaction when you go to school. If you just stay still and don't say, I'm Choi Saiwoo, then I wonder how many will recognize you. Having fun, aren't you? My head already feels like it's gonna explode just thinking about it. There's no way. Actually looking quite forward to it. It's already this late, isn't it? No wonder why I felt hungry. Then let's eat at the place right up here, I'll pay. Why though? Can't we just go to your place and eat there? You know that kimchi fried rice that you made last time? It was nice how you put the pork belly in too. I'll buy the pork at the supermarket. Oh, that'll be a bit hard though. There's a guest there currently. Moreover, right about now, they'll most likely be in a deep sleep too. A guest? Yeah, and there's also a place that I gotta go to after we eat lunch too. Up to there. There's no need to force yourself to try to say something that's hard to bring up while being mindful of me. I told you, that, whatever you do with the monsters, I won't pay attention to it. It looks like you have some matters to attend to, so I'll just leave for today then. Treat me next time. And don't be down like someone who has committed a crime or something. Whoever you go out to meet, straighten your shoulders and go confidently. Because, you're more than strong enough to do that. It's a pretty old-looking neighborhood. It feels like the homes are basically all empty. Have I really come to the right place? Rising Dark Moon Quarters. What does that mean? This person's a monster. And an incredibly strong one at that. Oh my, a guest that we've never met before. A pleasure. My name is Hongrian, the head of the Rising Dark Moon Quarters here. Hello, I'm Choi Saiwoo. So, I was introduced to this place by the cleanup post yesterday, you see. They gave me the address, saying I should go here first. I've already heard about you from Elder Yaman. Now, please come in. The inside, just simply doesn't feel dark, but rather, it feels like a black fog that's shrouding the place. Please drink comfortably. Oh, thank you for the drink. This isn't Seoul, is it? The unobstructed view is one thing, and the wind and air and something, it all feels incredibly refreshing. That's correct. The Rising Dark Moon Quarters is a space separated from a part of the human world. Because it has been out of reach from the touch of civilization and progress for hundreds of years, it maintains the fresh air and energy of those days. If you ask for what purpose this space exists, then we are a store that provides various conveniences so that residents of the monster world can adjust to life in the human world. If you pay a visit when the day is bright, then it will be of help, is what he said, but even if they call themselves a store for monsters, oh. I received this sort of thing. I was told this is currency from the monster world, but am I able to use this here? It's monster coins. Well, of course, we help with everything, both purchases and exchanges. Exchanges? Yes, there are those who acquire jobs in the human world, but they exchange monster currency for human money to use for the most part. With monster coins. Given the current exchange value of this nation, 1 niang is equivalent to about 3 million won. Of course, that's the value with commission included. The maximum cash balance of his entire life thus far, 720,000 won. Would you like to take a look and see what you can purchase? Show our guest the demon spirit pill. Yes, ma'am. What you see right now is the demon spirit pills that the guests at our store most frequently look for. It's a pill that accelerates the recovery of one's monster force. As you're aware, monster force barely exists in the natural environment of the human world, and even if there is a monster world, recovering monster force itself is something that consumes quite a bit of time. Because of it, a single pill is made up of all sorts of medicinal ingredients from the monster world, and it is made with the secret technique that has been passed down in our Rising Dark Moon Quarters. So that even in an environment where monster force is incredibly weak, an ample amount of monster force can be absorbed after consumption. I'll buy it. I really need that. So, the colors of the containers they're stored in are different. Is there a difference in efficacy? Yes, the color of the container refers to each class of the demon spirit pill. The price is set at a standard of 1 monster coin niang, the silver demon spirit pill is 10 niang, the gold demon spirit pill 3 niang, and the black demon spirit pill is 1 niang. The higher the class, there's also a difference in recovery rate, but if you want the effects of recovery right this moment today, then I recommend the black one. Then, for now, 1 black pill. Can I eat one right this moment? Of course. If it's fast, then you'll be able to see the effects sometime tonight. Well, that's the same, no matter which one you eat though. There's discussion from monsters regarding monster force, so the two most important things are the size and absorption rate of one's Niden. The size of the Niden, or the case of the total quantity of monster force, the older a monster gets, they grow as they consume other monsters. However, in the case of the absorption rate that's from the surrounding environment or the food they consume to recover their monster force, it's incredibly difficult to increase that rate through acquisition, so the majority of monsters' rate largely comes from their own talent or their bloodline's influence. If they're a high-ranking class, then it takes about 3-4 hours to completely digest a black-colored demon spirit pill, but with just a half-monster body, not even half will be digested after a few days pass, and will just be excreted from the body as is. Still, it isn't like I lied. If he absorbs even just a part of it, your insignificant Niden would probably be recovered by tonight. In accordance with Hongrian's assessment, the black-colored demon spirit pill is an excessive wonder drug to the current Saiwu. With 1 pill, it can restore Saiwu's Niden 3 or 4 times over. However, that just means it's confined to the size of his Niden. It can't be, he just swallowed the demon spirit pill, and it's just been a few seconds. This is the extent of the monster force that he has absorbed. But in that short time. Of course. The 3rd day since Saiwu began his life as a monster. For a low-level pill, have I eaten something that is really that great? Choi Saiwu. For the first time in his life, he experienced 100%, beyond 100% of his monster force. A few minutes earlier rising Dark Moon Quarters Annex. How is it? It's a specially prepared 6 floral liquor because I heard young Master Yuzium will be visiting. It's a liquor that uses the 6 flowers that grow in the Sanzu River to add an aroma. Well, that isn't too bad. Though, to serve a not-so-bad liquor to a little greenhorn does bother me quite a bit. But I haven't seen Hongrian, that little girl, for a while now. She said she'd come back after seeing someone though. Should I think of this as her having no thoughts of treating me as a guest? How could that ever be possible? She is just a bit late because there was some business she had to attend to. A guest that Master Judge had specially spoken of paid a brief visit, so. Grandpa Yaman. And who is that guest? I'm not quite sure of the details myself, but I heard that it's a half-monster who has goblin blood running through his veins. Wow, I thought it was something, but it was about that punk again. That grandpa's such a joke too. When he could just leave a dried-up vein to just disappear altogether. I can't believe he's going out of his way to find a halfling and make them fight in the festival. When it doesn't even feel right to call him a monster, let alone a participant. You've suddenly gone quiet. Why? Do you find serving me alcohol that boring? Because as a similar half-monster loser, you feel just so displeased about what I'm saying. I've heard some things from my older sister, you see. It's a 1,000-year-old tradition or whatever that you all view extremely highly, but I heard your Rising Dark Moon Quarters bunch is just a gathering for halflings with nowhere to go, right? Ambiguous things who can't become neither monster nor human, while not considering yourselves as human, but also unable to get acknowledged as a member of the monster world either. This is a place created as a result of the struggles of you halflings, in order for your usefulness to get acknowledged, whatever the outcome is. I should see this as being pretty smart in your own way. Well, even if that's the case, there will never be a day where you things will ever be called monsters though. Don't you think that as well? How can beings like us even know the future? Your cup is empty. Well, would it be alright to pour you another cup? Once a merchant, always a merchant. Even if that's the case, there's no fun in teasing you either. I apologize. So, when can I start going out? All procedures and preparations will most likely be completed by today. We have exchanged all the monster coins that you have given us, and all the residence and status information that you will be using in the human has been taken care of as you requested, young master. The highest quality, along with the condition of not encountering humans as much as possible. You're a lot faster at handling things than I thought, aren't you? You are someone who risked your own life for the sake of the human world. So of course, I must do my best and... it isn't for your sake, it's just because it's hateful. There are outside bastards from who knows where who are acting up, but from an owner's perspective, I can't just leave them be, can I? Moreover, if I make contributions and raise my species' reputation, then even Father will acknowledge that I have the right to participate in the festival. I'm not that far behind even Hyungnim or Nunim, when it comes to innate talent. However, because I was born 100 years later than them, that's just the only difference between us. First, let's get acknowledged as a candidate any way possible. And, catch up and surpass Hyungnim and Nunim with whatever it takes in those remaining 6 months. Look here, that wench, Hungrian. Oh, I will go out now and see if she can come right this ins. No, it's fine for now. There's a more important matter I want to entrust you with than having a drinking partner. While I'm residing in the human world, I want that wench to serve me. Oh, don't have an ill-humored misunderstanding. Because I have no thoughts of playing with a mere halfling, even if she has a pretty face. It's just that it's not like I've come to have some idle chat in the human world, and outside of hunting those bastards who have come from the outside, there's something else I'd like to focus on. However, young master, we do not do such. I know, but aren't you a merchant? Then, shouldn't you just be silent and respond accordingly to the request of a precious, paying client? To not upset them, no. Go over and properly convey it to that one. What the? Like water, ki is something that flows in all creation. And for living beings, such water is nothing more than just a puddle that gathers for a while. Although the components of that water, and how to use that water are different for each living being. It goes without saying that the great principles for all species, regardless of being monster or human, are the same. Even if you can increase the size of your bowl, you cannot hold more water than the volume of the bowl. Actually, it's just an obvious principle that doesn't require such fanciful language. Are you alright? It just feels like you've needlessly encountered a mishap because of me. Still, it's a lot more incredible than you mentioned, this pill I mean. But why is it? Something feels really good. Whatever it is, should I call it, a sensation where I feel like I can do anything? That such an obvious principle doesn't apply to the current Saiwu. What the hell is all this fuss? Just how uneducated of a bastard are you, to recklessly scatter your energy without fear in such a place? If you can't make sense of it, then shall I take this opportunity to teach you? Young Master Yuzium. What just happened is something that I am responsible for, not this guest over here. Please retract your anger and... Shut up. I'm sure the monster force I felt together with the thundering noise was from that loser. Moreover, he still doesn't have a grasp of the situation and continues to release his energy. Even after having such a sight before me, are you telling me to overlook it with such a ridiculous excuse? Young master, please. I'm sorry. I'm still not that used to controlling monster force, so, the boy called Choi Saiwoo had a gentle and temperate nature originally, even amongst humans. I didn't think such a thing would happen at all, you see. If I bothered you in any way, then I apologize. However, having his Naiden be filled to the brim for the first time in his life, and the resulting elevation of his body and mind because of it. But, even if that's the case, I think the words you're using towards someone you've met for the first time is a bit rude. And just for this moment, the boy's nature was closer to that of a monster than to a man. What did you say just now? I'm really, really sorry about what I'm sorry about, but the loser or whatever, don't speak so damn rudely. Look here. I didn't firmly nail this to your head, but it'd be best if you don't even dream of overstepping your bounds. This isn't a fight, but discipline. Since this is simply a process of teaching manners to an ill-bred inferior. Young master. Please calm down. Whatever the reason may be, violence is prohibited here in the rising dark moon quarters. No matter how great your family is, young master, if the great room finds out about this incident, then they will never overlook this lightly. To not even dream of overstepping your bounds. I kept an eye on you, thinking that you looked quite clever amongst all the dogs, but in the end, you do reveal that you're nothing more than a halfling. Just now, what the hell was that? I didn't feel any monster force or anything at all, something that can't be seen to the naked eye suddenly materialized from absolutely nothing. This is the divine beast, the unique ability of the Haiti species. Haiti is a mythical unicorn lion, similar to the Chinese, Xieji. Look here, you halfling, listen carefully if your ears aren't completely blocked. Come over in front of me right this instant and kneel. I'll properly instill in you the manners that Grandpa Yamong should have taught you. Saying bullshit, isn't he? You should have said it nicely if you wanted to talk it out. Talking about, I'll teach you manners after hitting as much as you wanted. That itself isn't proper manners, is it? Let's continue with what was started. Fine. If you're really wishing for death that desperately, then. That's water, right? What you threw at me. I don't know the fundamentals or whatever that well, but since it's all just monster art anyway. It looks like you're shooting little water droplet-like things at me at an incredibly fast rate. The first thing I was probably hit by was the tea that spilled onto the floor. Forget a water droplet, it felt like getting hit by a car though, it faintly smelled of tea, you see. Being conscious of that, it looks like you're ready to be hit again. Something like water droplets the size of a fingernail suddenly materializing from nothing. It looks like you can use either the moisture in the air or dew on the grass, and what I was hit with just now, it feels like the longer the firing distance, the more powerful it becomes. Probably because of the acceleration. It isn't an experience that I'm proud of, but I had a similar experience with someone last night, you see. If I had to compare this to that time, you feel a lot like a little fry than them. What? Sorry if I hurt your feelings. That halfling bastard dares. Does he attack with his right hand? It's a monster force control ability that's frankly just pathetic. The fact that the attack's direction can be seen through with monster force means that he doesn't even know that he has to train in order to hide it. I will definitely make you realize the price of ignorance. As expected, I was right to think that it was obvious. So this is what Yushin saw and read my movements. Well, whatever. You got hit, you little fry. Unbelievable. The reason Hungrian was so shocked was not just one. It was because the first encounter, the first confrontation with magic. The way he casually discerned and countered it as if it were nothing. And not just that, he realized his energy could be read by the opponent. Momentarily amplifying his energy, concealing the attack's direction, almost simultaneously redirecting his energy in another direction. He precisely struck in the opening created by his opponent. Of course, it's not entirely impossible. For yokai belonging to the strong, it's like a basic skill they possess. The descendants of goblins appeared only, just 3 days ago, surely, until then, I heard he was an ordinary human. How on earth, what could have happened for a mere 3-day-old yokai to possess such proficiency? Is this where it ends? Well, it doesn't matter. If you're going to end it, at least apologize properly and move on, okay? I mean, I might have caused a ruckus first, but that person is different. What did you do to someone who was trying to stop the fight? No matter how you look at it, it's 100% your fault, so go and kneel down and offer a polite apology. That way. The Haiti clan's unique magic, clear autumn water, controls and manipulates the surrounding water. As Saiwu pointed out earlier, the operating mechanism of this magic is similar to the Haiti clan's northern martial arts, but what sets it apart is its ability for more precise utilization. It can amplify water pressure to the extreme, utilizing it as a weapon as sharp as metal and infiltrating even the tiniest amount of water into the target's body. It can also be utilized as a living venom that disrupts internal organs, including blood vessels and nerves. There's something peculiar about a yokai's regenerative power. Losing an arm or a leg is no big deal as long as you have enough yokai energy, but, when it comes to poison or infections, recovery takes longer than you might think. You probably can't understand or have never experienced it as a human. Well, I have to admit, though you were quite something, even against a half-baked opponent like you. Perhaps it's because of the exceptional lineage you inherited, even as a half-blood, or maybe you inherited blood that runs quite thick for a half-blood. I want to make it clear that you're no match for a true yokai, no matter how half-blood you are.